If you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met for an informational session on the following date, which was May 17th, 2023, for the sole purpose of educating the board on aspects of the elementary ELA pilot programs. Excuse me. The board met for an executive session on May 30th, 2023, after a Buildings and Grounds Finance Committee meeting to meet with our solicitor to discuss a legal matter and personnel contractual matter. And then this evening, we met prior to now for the purpose of providing the board with the required annual safety and security report. There, right? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening, June 13th? Meeting incorporating additions and deletions.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. Thank you, Mr. Maurer. All in favor? Not 9-0. Thank you. Oh, Richard?
8-0. He's here, but he's not.
It's 8-0. Sorry. I knew he was here. A motion, can I have a motion to approve the following minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Donato. Thank you, Mr. Maris. All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. I think I give this to you now, right, Mr. Barisky?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Good evening. Very excited tonight. We're going to begin with student and staff recognitions. One of our students here tonight, Aiden Hodge, is the PIAA class 3A 800-meter state champion. So at this point, I'd like to have Mr. Rogers, our track coach, come on up to the podium, as well as Aiden. We'll start with Mr. Rogers, and then we'll go over to Aiden.
Hi, my name is Kurt Rogers. I'm the coach of the cross-country team, indoor track and outdoor track. And tonight I have the honor and the privilege to introduce you to Aiden and tell you a little bit about his accolades over the last number of years. He's a 4-year letter earner in all 3 sports, minus the COVID time. He holds 9 school records between cross-country and track. He earned 35 Lancaster Lebanon League, District 3, and PIAA state medals during his time of running here for Hempfield. 14 of those 35 are gold. In cross country, he has run at many different courses around the league, and he holds records at many of them. He holds Hempfield's course record. On the track side, he ran the fastest 800-meter ever at Conestoga Valley, the fastest 3,200-meter ever at Cedar Crest. And at these schools, there have been accomplished runners, but Aiden beat the records in their home stadiums. Over the years, he's earned all these medals and had great races and done a lot of things. To sum it all up, many awards that he's earned over the years. This year, he earned the Cope Zerfie Award for cross country, named in honor of 2 former runners here at Hempfield. 3 times he was named the cross country league first team all-star. He was league meet champ and the District 3 champion and the runner of the year during his junior year of cross country. This year he was named a cross country senior scholar athlete. He was named the 2023 A. Landis Brackbill Male Award winner this year. He just received honor that he is the 2023 Pennsylvania Track and Field Coaches Association Outdoor All-State First Team Runner for the 800 meters. And just received a call the other day saying that he has been named the 2023 Lancaster Newspaper Male Athlete of the Year. Wow. The sports of cross country and track are individual in many ways, but we have the team aspect to it also. Aiden emerged as an individual runner, started to show the signs in his freshman year, but his sophomore year is when he really started to assume the leadership of the team just through his accolades in his running, and then soon became known around the league and the district and the state. He helped the cross-country team go 43-0 in regular head-to-head meets against LL teams. They were section champ 4 times. They were the league meet champion 3 times, the district meet champion 2 times, and 3 years the whole team went to the state meet, which is quite a feat for a cross-country team. And we placed 4th and 5th in 2 of those years. One of the greatest things that I've been able to see as the coach is he's with his friends every single day, and they have become this very strong friend group that enjoys each other's company and pushes each other at practices and at meets. And he has been the leader of that group. He's influenced many runners from Hempfield, but across the league also. He's represented the school, the team, and himself with class all 4 years. He's earned the respect and the respect of coaches from across the league also. When he won the 800 meter a couple weeks ago at the state meet, we all went towards the finish line to get pictures and everything else. And within a short span of time, 5 coaches from the league came up to jump in the circle with us. Another coach called on the phone. I couldn't even hear what he was saying, but that shows how many people were following Aiden and wishing him well and following his career. They were just excited. So it wasn't just a Hempfield thing. He had influence across the entire league, district, and state. He's run in many races throughout the years, and we thank the athletic department, the school board and administration for the program that we have and allowing us to be able to get Aiden and others to places that they need to go to showcase their skills. He's unarguably the greatest distance runner Hempfield has ever produced. And there's been some really great distance runners that have come through this program. To quote LeBron James, he's taking his talents to Ole Miss in the fall, and we're going to miss him terribly here. But he's been a wonderful person to coach, wonderful person to have on the team, and Aiden Hodge.
I don't know if I was gonna have to say anything. But I just want to thank the opportunities provided by the athletic department, my coaches, and obviously the Hempfield School District. So I've had a wonderful 4 years here, and I can't thank everyone enough, especially my parents, athletic director, and all my friends and teammates.
I would like to say something. I'm a former track runner at Hempfield. I'm a big track junkie. And the end of the season, I think what Aiden did was remarkable. I got to go see his race on Friday. He ran the mile, the 1600. Didn't have a real good race. Wasn't one of his better days. So he came back the next day, and unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I was at my high school reunion. I wanted to be there. But he had kind of an unusual condition. The previous week, he ran a 4:10.7 mile, I think, and he was exhausted, and they ran the 800 a couple hours later. So his time wasn't his best time. So what they do is from the district meet to the next week, they give you seeds. And so because of that, he did not get to run in the fast heat of the 800. So it's almost unheard of to win a race running the slower heat. Well, that's exactly what Aiden did. He came back the second day. He got the best time and beat the fast heat by, I think, 0.4 seconds. So it shows a little bit about the character. And Jeff Bradley, who also has helped coach and be a mentor, called me at the reunion, and I was just elated. He said, what do you think about having another state champion? Because I didn't think he would win the 800 being in the second heat, but he did that. So quite a remarkable young man.
So Aiden, on behalf of the district, not only congratulations, but thank you. And as Mr. Rogers shared, everything you have done over the years has been done with such class. And about a year ago, we actually did some research around why Hempfield is the Black Knights. And in the class of 1955, Ken Bowers convinced the class to vote for Hempfield to be the Black Knights because he was really infatuated with the Army football. And at that time, they were dubbed the Black Knights of the Hudson. And he was so impressed that they won with class. And that's what he really took back to here at Hempfield. And you have displayed that impeccably over the years here of running for the district. And on behalf of the district, but not only congratulations, does not compete with the state medal, but want to just recognize you with certificate of achievement for becoming the state champion for the 800, as well as some of your newspaper clippings that we've laminated for you. And thanks to Mr. Rogers, and I'm sure he probably already gave you this, maybe not, but he provided for our board a packet that highlights the track, celebrating 64 years of track and field, and you will see Aiden highlighted in all the accomplishments, and we'll make sure you get one of those as well. So on behalf of the district, congratulations. We're so proud of you. Thank you. Congratulations. And your parents are here tonight. Yeah. So thank you as well. Congratulations to you. Also tonight, we have our student council. You will see one familiar face here at the table. James is with us, but we have a host of new student council representatives who will be joining us for the upcoming school year. So I'm going to start off with introducing Avery Landis as the president of the student council. So we'll start with Avery, and then Avery, I'll let you introduce the rest of.
All right, awesome. So my name's Avery Landis, and I'm going to be a senior this coming school year. And I play softball for the high school, and I also play our Nightmare Rugby. I also play for, and I've always been a part of student council ever since I was a rep in 7th grade, and it's just something I'm always passionate about and love to be a part of. So, well, not quite yet, because I would like to enjoy my summer a little bit. I am excited for this upcoming school year and everything that we can do. Next is Lauren Choi, who is our vice president.
Hello, my name is Lauren Choi. I'm an upcoming junior next year, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
And then we also have co-secretaries because they felt like it would be the best that they would split their time based on their sport seasons, which I thought was remarkable and responsible of them, that they would split the role so that way they could get everything done within their sport seasons. But we have Alex Gregory and Addie Lieber as our secretaries.
She's a tennis player, but I feel that I am more busier in the fall and she's less busier in the fall. So we decided that Alex would be more in control in the fall and that I would be more in control and more dominant in the spring. It's just easier for our schedules, and I feel like we both wanted to put both as much time as we could into both these roles. So Yeah, we're excited to work with everyone this year. Yes.
All right, and then we have our treasurer, Drew Benchick.
Hi, my name is Drew Benchick. I'm going to my senior year. I play baseball here at the high school. I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
And then one of our newer roles, we have a social media manager, and that is ran by Ethan Albright.
Hi, I'm Ethan Albright. I'm an upcoming sophomore. I play soccer here at Hempfield, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. And anything else anyone would like to share with the board?
I'm just, McGuire did such a great job kind of bringing us back to like the student council, like we like have always done, and like past COVID. So I would only like to like ride his wave, but then also take it into new hands and like make sure we're getting everything done that we would like to do. So I'm also excited for that.
Well, Avery and all the student council members, I look forward to continue working with you, meeting with you through the upcoming school year. And how to get a hold of me, whether it's through Schoology or calling over here, and we'll get those meetings set up. And just thank you for your willingness to serve as a student council representative and on behalf of your classmates. And I can say in speaking for Dr. Brossman that we're looking forward to the upcoming year working with you and making sure we have a lot of great opportunities for all of you. Thanks. All right. So you're welcome to stay as long as you can for the rest of the meeting. And James, thank you for your service as well this past year. Mr. Bard, I'll turn it back to you for a resident's request to speak.
I'll let them take their second.
Thank you. Enjoy your summer.
It's okay if you leave.
It is.
It is.
Could be lengthy tonight.
It really is. It's
Sometimes
okay.
it gets long.
You don't have to.
Okay, residents' request. The board provides a time for the public to comment for residents, comment for residents and taxpayers to bring their thoughts to the board, but it's not a time to engage between the board, administration, and the speaker. We ask that speakers refrain from identifying specific students, staff, or community members by name. Residents and taxpayers who are interested in making public comment must complete the electronic registration prior to 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Every person has up to 5 minutes. And Ms. Hall, are you keeping? Oh, Mr. Graham's gonna. Oh my gosh, I forgot we do it that way now. Anyway, the time will be up there, so you won't actually get a 1 minute warning, I don't believe. So you can look at either screen and know that your time is almost up. And Mr. Graham, if you could go ahead and introduce the first speaker.
Our first speaker this evening is Stacy Hernandez, who will be followed by Hayden Petrasic.
Good evening. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I just want to thank you all for volunteering to be on the school board and taking your time to make a safer environment for our children. And with that responsibility, comes making the correct decisions, different things like that, that will, follow for years to come, that will help with our children. So I want to thank you already for tonight. That hopefully most of you will vote yes on policy 108.1 and 109, and to help our children have a safe and learning environment. Thank you.
Hayden Petrasic will be followed by Heather Petrasic.
So I just want to say, so I was, when I learned about this, I got a copy from the librarians. I was unable to be at last meeting because I had work at the time, but I am here today to speak about what I wasn't able to then. So after I learned, I read through the whole document 109, the change document, and I made about 1,500 flyers that I handed out to all the students. I worked with Dr. Brossman to make sure everything was allowed. And so when I was handing them out, not a single person said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for books to be taken out of our library," anything like that. All of them, everyone seemed like they just didn't, either some people were just apathetic about it, they didn't really care. Most people were saying that they just don't want the books taken out of the library. Even if people who don't read from the library very often, they were all saying that it just seems pointless. And yeah, so and in the policy 109, there's a part that says if the book doesn't enrich the curriculum, which I asked, what book doesn't enrich the curriculum? We have English classes, which obviously, so every book will enrich our learning and our prose, our words we use on a daily basis, our grammar. And also even more than that, we have a creative writing class. Every book in the library is something that is a piece of literature, which would then enrich that class and help the curriculum. So I don't know like what book, I'm thinking an example might be Game of Thrones. That would be one that would be easily banned. That is a really good example of world building for fantasy writers. And although it does have a lot of sexual content, it is still enriching the curriculum because it teaches students how to write better, and it teaches students, teaches students better grammar, stuff like that. So everything, in my opinion, would enrich the curriculum. And I am in the health class. I just enrolled for summer school. I'm going into 10th grade next year. I finished I did the entire week for sexual education yesterday because I wanted to learn about what kind of stuff we learn in our sex education course, so I could speak about it today. We learned about basically all the functions of our body and stuff like that. We learned that sex is when, it goes in, and we learned that. So why the cat's out of the bag, right? You're in 10th grade, the cat's out of the bag. It doesn't matter after that. I don't, in my opinion, that because you already know what it is. So why are you trying to hide it from us? Because we already know. So I just don't understand what the point of that would be. And I just, as a student, I think it's kind of important to say that kids are very intelligent as well. It's not like we're going to make stupid decisions based on books you read. And if you're reading books from the library, you're probably a pretty intelligent person already, and you're probably not going to make an impulsive decision based on what you read, and do anything stupid based on that. And so I was at a previous meeting around February when we were talking about this, and there was a point where they mentioned that you could opt your kid out of reading from certain topics, and that not a single parent had taken that option. So even the ones who want this ban aren't doing it for their kids, aren't taking the books away from their kids. I don't know the reason behind that, but if they're doing it for their kids, why would you do it for the whole school when they're the ones who are pushing for it? And so as a student, and there are other students here, unfortunately not as many as I'd hope there would be, but there's still a good amount of students here that's what you're doing this for, right? You're not doing this for the parents, you're not doing this for the other people in the county. You're working for a school, and you're working for the children in that school. So why would you go for what the adults in the county want versus what the people who you're actually working for would like when it comes to the book ban? Because the kids, again, none of the kids want this. And then additionally, as kind of circling back to the health point, we learned about much more horrific things in history class. Like, for example, if you guys have learned about the rape of Nanking, which I learned about both in 8th grade at my old school and in 9th grade at this school, which was where the Japanese Imperial Army went into the Chinese capital, and they would hang people by their tongues. They made themselves jump into fires. They raped the women in the streets. Why can we learn about that in history class, but not read about something that is far less horrific in our own time? Additionally, we have the book Speak in 9th grade, which you learned about, which depicts a sexual assault. And it's not taught from that angle, but it still just depicts that. And it's not like some great nonfiction book. It's just a book that has good literary value. Like, in my opinion, most books and all books do have that are in our library. And the fact that this is even a controversial issue kind of points that maybe this shouldn't be the school board's focus. Because if some people want it, some people don't, maybe you should leave it alone until the school is perfect. Because, for example, again, in my history class, teacher she was talking about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. She got 4 facts wrong in a span of 30 minutes that I had already known previously. And she was explaining it the way that would be quickest to learn, even if it wasn't right. So target the actual issues in our school, like not teaching correctly, rather than books in our library that you don't agree with. I know my mother is going to be speaking about this more, but the first thing you look up when you see the Moms for Liberty is that they are a group against LGBT people and are for banning gender and sexuality theories.
Heather Petrasic will be followed by Candace Null.
Hi, my name is Heather Petrasic. I received in the mail the other day, Hempfield School District. So I love that there's a 2022 to 2025 comprehensive plan approved. We have a mission statement to provide safe and supportive environments. To me, last board meeting, there was a woman in the audience that had a nice polo shirt on, but the logo was Moms for Liberty. They are a group that is now, for the United States of America, banned, basically. They're a discrimination group. They're against a lot of our community that's in our Hempfield. I think about 16 years ago, I read, I think we had 179 languages in Hempfield, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong about that. But they're going against in a lot of our community. And we would never allow, I would hope that you guys would never allow somebody to wear that shirt in the school, because I would expect them to have to go to the nurse's office and get another shirt to wear. Because hopefully.
Excuse me, Mr. Cheswick, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you're deviating off of your topic.
Oh, okay. So that no, it's to provide a safe and supportive environment for our students. So the environment where our students wouldn't be able to wear any kind of hate group logos on their shirts. So to me, we want to provide a safe and supportive environment of all of our children, the 179 different languages that our community speaks. To engaging experiences. How can we have engaging experiences with these adolescent children that really haven't experienced the world yet and all it encompasses? How are they to learn from right and wrong, not using the excuse of ask forgiveness later? We teach our children when they're 3 years old that they have choices in life and they have to have consequences for them. The next one is, and I feel like when the consequences come from reading the books, we read our children probably well over 1,000 books. By the time they were 5, the teachers were like, your kid talks like a 16-year-old. Sometimes that's not good as a parent because they negotiate everything about you, but it's a good thing to give them that experience. And all of these books, whether you believe in the book or not, because my husband and I read books totally contradicting two things, so our kid could make their own decision on an opinion, not follow our opinion. And I think if you start taking books away from kids, then you're taking away the choice and the freedom for them to choose who they believe in, what they believe in, empathy. And it's more than just education, because that goes in who they are and what they can create in the future. I mean, anything is, to me, and kids can do everything. I think the kids in this community are just incredible kids with incredible knowledge and creativity. We need everybody in this community to be a village. I feel like, you can put a book down if you don't want to read it. You can get to different points of view from a book. You had the opt-out and people were telling you, why are you speaking again? Because your school has the opt-out, which is the best idea that anybody ever had. And because you can choose as a parent what you want your child to read and not to read. I think that's the biggest point that whoever came up with it, I think that was you, saying opt out, because then I can choose what my kids can and can't read. I make my kids learn everything. I'm one of those annoying moms that really will give every point of view so they can make their own choice, and they disagree with me a lot and I'm totally fine with that. But we have really intelligent conversations that broaden both of our horizons. So I feel like banning books, you're pigeonholing our kids, and our kids are not going to be able to get into Harvard and Yale, MIT, Stanford with this lack of knowledge, the lack of diversity, the lack of knowing the community that they're going to be going into, because they're going to be meeting kids from around the world. My one son had the opportunity to go to Johns Hopkins and literally meet the top 1% of the children from around the world. And he goes to your school and he's going to be a senior. But it's because of all that education. And of course, with COVID, he didn't get to meet all those kids from around the world. But he had that opportunity. And don't hurt these children for the future of what they can be and aspire to be, and travel around the world and meet the cultures that you want to ban from. People are awesome. Enjoy them.
Candace Knoll will be followed by Karen Lockard.
Hello, my name is Candace Stahl. I'm a resident of East Hempfield Township and a taxpayer there. And I thank you for letting me speak tonight. I learned about, during the primaries I was helping, and I learned about the books that people were concerned about and read some of the material, and it was pretty much pornography. And if any one of you or any administrator or teacher in this school district would have that information on their computer, I would think they would be fired. So I want to thank you for passing last time the policy 108.1 and 109 to at least start having some kind of procedure to review these things. And I urge you to vote yes again tonight. It's a start. I wish there was stronger language in it about sexual content in the materials in the school, but at least it's a start. So please vote yes tonight. Thank you.
Aaron Lockard will be followed by Faye Skaya.
Hi, I'm gonna make my words short tonight. I came here to ask you to please vote and approve policy 108.1 and 109. I feel this is very important, and I thank you for all the time that you spent on this, and I just thank you ahead of time for voting for both of these. Thank you.
Faye Skaya will be followed by Colleen Carter Jacobson.
Good evening. My name is Faye Skaya, and I'm a mom of 3 kids in Hempfield. I want to thank the board for voting yes for policy 108.1 and 109 last month. This policy is needed because, as I mentioned in May, the opt-out system does not work. At that meeting, I gave specific examples of books that have sexually explicit material that only have tags with young adult fiction or young adult literature. Thank you for your dedication to our district, and thank you for voting yes tonight.
Colleen Carter Jacobson. Okay. Charlie Odell, excuse me. Will be followed by our last speaker, Tamitha Mitchell.
Good evening. I would like to address a concerning subject to the board and to the parents of this community. My concern being a book that is circulated among the children in this district. I know firsthand that there are some parents in this district that, to push their agenda, are obligating their children to be manipulated by its text. I will now list a variety of acts that are committed by characters in the book. I have edited some of the language to be more appropriate, but I imagine that my message will get across. I will note that all these topics are explicitly addressed in the book that I'm referring to and nowhere near implied. Force feeding of alcoholic beverages, detailed and graphic description of female anatomy, mass genocide committed by a character that is rooted for throughout the text, genital mutilation performed by the victim's own mother, attempted infanticide, notably bifurcation, sexual assault and rape, incest between father and daughters, crafting of masturbatory aids out of jewelry, instructions on how to abort a fetus, endorsed violence upon children by their own parents, father offering his daughters to be gang raped, opposed to himself, attempted child sacrifice, and borderline erotica. The list goes on. For those of you who have not a clue what the book is, I have 2 more damning pieces of information that make the spreading of this book all the more sickening. The first is that Hempfield High School has an entire club dedicated to the discussion and study of this book among students. Yes, you heard that correctly, the discussion of the book that has all the vile content I just described. The second one you may not believe, but truth be told, this book is the most best-selling book of all time. That book, my fellow residents and peers, is the Bible. Take that in for a moment. All those despicable topics I just mentioned are in the holy good book. So I ask this of the community: before you accuse pieces of paper of poisoning your children, maybe you should face the fact that you are the ones poisoning them. I would like to close with one last statement. If you are to go through with the banning of books containing sexual content, I will launch a campaign against, along with anyone who chooses to align with me. And trust me, I know many who are just itching for an opportunity like this, against the impact Bible Club's existence and the Bible being allowed on school grounds at all. Thank you.
Tamitha Mitchell will be our last speaker this evening.
The board knows that one of their powers, one of their expected job duties is to make sure there's appropriate material for students in school. And I'm thanking you for recognizing that there needs to be some other type of things in place to make sure that that is exactly what's happening and that we are having that review process in place to protect our children and make sure the material is appropriate. As I've said before in here, material that, I would review as in mental health counseling, I'm working with people in mental health issues. We don't re-traumatize people by throwing in their faces all the harm and all the details of the harm. We don't put all of that stuff that was hurtful out there. And we wouldn't need to put that out there to our children who maybe never been exposed to such things. We don't need to do that. That isn't helping, that's hurting. And your job is to make sure it's appropriate for the age of the child. And as far as Christianity goes, we do in Christian schools and Jewish schools, I've worked in these schools, and the material provided to the children is done at an age appropriate level. So we do make sure that we are protecting children, that it's what they're ready to handle. That's what we're expected to do. Give them what they can handle, not more. And another job of us as counselors is to provide people ways of coping with the harm in their world. We're supposed to be a light at the end of a tunnel. Yes, darkness happens in our world, but we're supposed to be the light. We're supposed to teach them how to survive the awful, horrible things that can happen to them. That's our job, to teach them the skills to be able to be successful adults and push past the traumas and things they might go through in their life. So I thank you for considering policy 109 and 108.1. Thank you very much.
I think that concludes the residents' opportunities. Appreciate everyone who spoke, and I'm going to turn the meeting to you, Mr. Bomerski.
Thanks again, Mr. Bard. And again, good evening. As you know, a few weeks ago, we successfully wrapped up the 22-23 school year. And I just wanted to share just a few pieces here. The year culminated at the end of the year with graduation in our stadium. I know many of you were there and were able to celebrate in that wonderful event. As we know, graduation is not just about the senior year, it's the journey all the way through K-12, even before that, but it's collectively the entire school community coming together to rally behind and support our students. And the student speakers, their theme was moving forward together. And there was a little bit of talk about resetting and refocusing, which is kind of what the theme that I kicked off the school year with back in August with our staff. And I'm just here tonight to say how proud I am of our staff, or of our students. The fact that they did embrace the notion of resetting and refocusing and adding on that extra layer of moving forward together. And in my opinion, and all accounts from what I've seen, I've shared with you on a weekly basis, the buildings that I've been in, significantly increased over the last year compared to the past due to COVID matters. But it has been truly great to see all of the wonderful opportunities that our staff and community have provided for our students. And they clearly went above and beyond and demonstrated great significance with regards to moving forward together. And I just wanted to thank the staff, thank our students, and thank all of you for your continued support. And looking forward as we plan for the upcoming school year to kick off in August with our students and staff. So that, other than the calendar of events and the enrollment report, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Next is President's report. I'd like to mention Mr. Donato. Prior to graduation, when I became president, he mentioned that that was the single most joy he had as president, was getting to be at graduation and hand the students their diplomas. And I have to say, it did not disappoint. I came to practice in the morning out of work, and the excitement that was there built up for an incredible evening. And I can't even begin to express the intrinsic rewards I got from being able to hand those kids their diploma and walk down the stage onto their next move in life. And for me, it really hit home because many of those kids I've known since they were 6 or 7 years old from coaching them in athletics. And it was especially a special moment. So I just wanted to mention that was an exciting time. And moving on to keep things moving to representative and adjunct reports, I'd like to, Mr. Keener, can you help us with Lancaster County Career Technology, please?
Thank you, Mr. Bard. The Joint Operating Committee met on Thursday, May 25th, and several Hempfield students were recognized, and I'd like to take a moment to share that information with everyone. First of all, the National Skills USA competition, which is sort of like the, I guess, like the National Career and Technology Center, who is the best at what they do competition, where students from all over the country travel. This year was in Atlanta. They traveled down to Atlanta, competed with CTC students from around the nation, and two of our own, Jonathan Martinez and Allison Cadis, both in our advanced healthcare program, were recognized in the Skills USA competition. And also for Students of the Month from our Mount Joy campus, Nicole Cambrogis, who those of you who are at commencement will recall that she was one of the co-commencement speakers. She was recognized as Student of the Month from the Mount Joy campus, and she is in the Baking and Pastry Arts class. So some really exciting news for Hempfield students at the most recent JOC meeting. The next meeting will be next Thursday, June 22nd at Willow Street, and our meetings are open to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. IU 13, Mr. Maris.
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend. I was at graduation, which I was very good event, as both Mr. Bard and Mr. Bursky talked about. So we will have our next meeting on June 28th. So I'll report in our July meeting what's going on there.
Thank you, Mr. Maris. Hempfield Area Recreation Commission, Ms. Johnson, Mr. Wagner. Mr. Wagner.
I have nothing new to report, similar to Mr. Maris. The last meeting that was had was on the night of graduation, so Mrs. Johnston and I were unable to attend. Next meeting would be on Wednesday, July the 26th, I do believe. So hopefully we'll have a report for you then. So nothing new from me unless Mrs. Johnston has something. There you have it.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Sure.
Safety and Security, Mr. Garber.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Garber. PSBA Liaison, Mr. Walgamuth.
I don't have anything new to report, but I would just ask Mr. Burmski if he has anything that he wanted to share.
I've been regularly attending my legislative meetings. There's some movement around some various education bills, not only in the Senate, but also in the House. But the big kind of wait and see right now is the budget. And so my meeting for next week was actually moved from Monday to Tuesday because one of the committees canceled. I forget which one it was, their session. So I will keep you updated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walgamuth and Mr. Burmski. Moving on to standing committees, Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Maris.
So we had our buildings and ground meeting in May. We had a presentation by Train, talk about LPC and LMS chiller and boiler additions. A number of questions were brought up, and we actually had a committee meeting to talk about those, which will be addressed in the upcoming buildings and ground. Mrs. James gave us an update, feasibility study. Breslin, our architect, and Fidavia engineering construction firm. They've been gathering a lot of data and touring buildings and pulling together all kinds of information. We did approve I believe we approved the track, new track at the stadium, and we went with option 2A. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Maris. Finance, Mr. Bauer?
All of our time has been spent on the budget, which we will be reviewing again and approving tonight. Those minutes will be released to the public. We just approved them tonight. They'll be available to the public tomorrow morning. So I won't spend much more time on that. The next committee meeting is June 27th.
Thank you, Mr. Mauer. Education and Programs, Ms. Johnson?
My notes are too far away from my microphone. Thank you. We had an update on the middle school math revisions that are being evaluated right now, particularly for how to take the sixth grader, the transition from the sixth grade pre-algebra into seventh grade. That's described in the minutes, which are posted. Also, your student should be receiving some information about the details about that. If you have a student who would be in those accelerated programs, this is to look, they'll be doing it for a year, hoping to see some score improvement, which we always look for better scores and keeping that high level of education going for our students. We also voted to continue the ELA pilot program, English Language Arts program. So for us continue assessing during the next school year, 2023 through 24, those two programs are Witten Wisdom and Savas, My View, My Perspective. And at the end of that, well, throughout the year, we'll be receiving quarterly and test assessment reports. And then at the end of the school year, we will review as a board and look at all of that information and decide which one we will adopt. And we have lots of teachers, almost 90 teachers who have volunteered this time to pilot the programs. So I'm looking forward to hearing how that's all going. And both programs are good, and I expect to see good things for our students. Any other information you can look in the at the minutes, as I said, and presumably you'll get more information about the math choices for the 6th and 7th graders. For those of you that have students that are in pre-algebra and accelerated maths. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnston. Policy, Personnel, and Legal, Mr. Keener?
Thank you, Mr. Barr. The Policy, Personnel, and Legal Committee also met on May 18th. You approved the minutes earlier this evening. Dr. Musser led a review of several policies related to home education, essentially affirming the right of homeschool students to participate in certain educational programs offered by the district, but subordinate to our enrolled students. In other words, to the extent that there is capacity or other issues, we will prioritize enrollment for those who are enrolled in the Hempfield School District. If there's room left over, homeschool students are certainly welcome to participate. That's basically all the policies related to that. I'm not going to bore you with the details. The next meeting is this coming Thursday at 5 p.m., followed by the Education and Programs meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Moving on to personal action items. 9A. This is approval to appoint Karen Hall as the Chief Financial and Operations Officer for the Hempfield School District. Mrs. Hall's appointment will be in accordance with contract effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027. In addition to her current salary, will be adjusted retroactively to May 1st of this year through June 30th of 2023 to the prorated salary of $171,000 less legally required withholdings. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. Thank you, Mr. Mauer. Okay, can we move on to discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries 9-0.
Just thank you, Mr. Mercy and the board for the opportunity and for your continued support. I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking this role.
I'm sure you'll do great, Mrs. Hall.
Moving on to, can I have a motion to approve personnel action items 9C and D as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Donato.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnston. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 9-0. Moving on to financial action items. I'm looking, let me see here. Motion to approve financial action items 10B through 10M as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mauer. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 9-0. Motion to approve budget-related financial action items O, P, and Q as presented.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mauer.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. Any discussion?
Can we just clarify what the tax increase percent is? I see the millage in here, but what is the
2.5%.
2.5? Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 9-0. Motion to approve the solicitor.
Motion
moved.
to approve. I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Thank you, Mr. Walgamuth. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 8-4, 1 no. There's no buildings and grounds action items. Other action items. Motion to approve the second reading of policy 108.1.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mauer. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 9-0. Motion approved second reading of board policy 109.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Maris.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7 yes, 2 no. Motion to approve other action items 12D through 12M as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Maris.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 9-0. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Thank you, Mr. Maris. I guess all in favor? Good night. Thank you for coming.